sports? Do you like beer? Do you love sports and beer? Then you're exactly where you need to be. This is the Huebs Views Brews show on 1252 Sports Chicago. Cheers.
Welcome in for a Monday night. Sometimes when the Bears win, they call it a Victory Monday. Today is anything but. We have a lot of time to talk about the Bears. No beer guest today. A lot of other beer happenings coming up later in the week with Oktoberfest and everything else. So we got a lot of Bears conversation and some White Sox conversation. I'm that White Sox guy who's not excited. Maybe I should say very worried as the playoffs are approaching for my favorite baseball team. Welcome on in. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. I know that on the intro they say if you like beer and if you like sports, if you watched the Bears game yesterday, you probably had to drink heavily before, during, and after because it was a brutal, brutal performance by the Chicago Bears. And it all starts, I'm not quite sure if it all starts with Matt Nagy or if it all starts with Ryan Pace, because Ryan Pace has given Matt Nagy and the Bears organization nothing to play with. Absolutely nothing. We'll talk about that. We'll get into a bunch of stuff that happened in the game and everything else. But when we start, I always like to have a beverage. And I've talked about these guys a little bit because we've been over to Miskatonic Brewing. They've done some fundraisers for Skeleton Key Brewing and everything else like that. But yes, tonight I'm having a Hefeweizen. Hello, my Name ist Hefeweizen. Yes, a nice German Hefeweizen with Oktoberfest coming up. October is Friday. So, and I could drink this out of the can, but every time I drink something out of a can, people yell at me. They say, come on, you're a skilled beer drinker. You should not be drinking out of a can. Well, okay, whatever. So I'm pouring the Hefeweizen. And for those who don't know, the Hefeweizen is a very, very light beer. You can see almost straw colored, okay? It says here 7.5% alcohol by volume. That's pretty high for most of the Hefeweizens that I've had. I had one at Bavarian Lodge the other day, and I cannot wait to get back to the Bavarian Lodge. If you're not familiar with it, the Bavarian Lodge in Lisle has a tremendous, tremendous German and American beer selection. And with Oktoberfest there, run over there for some sausage, some spätzle, all those great things. But anyway, let me take a sip of this. Exactly what I expect the Hefeweizen to taste like. Very crisp, clean, tastes awesome. I'm glad it's a small can. I've got more for the football game that I'm going to watch when I'm done with the podcast here, Huebs Views and Brews, every Monday night. Next Monday night, we'll talk a lot about baseball. Hopefully get a baseball guest with the White Sox about ready to start the playoffs and all the playoffs about ready to get underway, and also a beer guest going into next week's show. Okay, final score was 26-6. The Browns beat the Bears. I've heard a lot of people say, well, the defense played really well. You gave up 418 yards, okay? 418 yards. 203 through the air, 215 on the ground. Now, I understand. And for years, I've heard this. Well, you know, the offense is so bad. The defense is out there for so long. It's the defense's job to make a stop. It's the defense's job to get off the field. Even the first two drives for the Cleveland Browns, and we'll get to Matt Nagy and Justin Fields and all that stuff. But the first two drives, the Bears allowed the Cleveland Browns to march downfield. And the Cleveland Browns went for it twice on fourth down. They go for it on 4th and 5. They went for it on 4th and 1. Both times the Bears defense comes through. Robert Quinn, this isn't the guy that was in uniform last year. Who was wearing the Robert Quinn uniform last year? Because it wasn't this guy. This guy is having a great start to a season. He had a sack along with Blackson. They combined on a sack on the 4th and 5 play. Bears get the ball, and then the next series the Bears get the ball, march downfield, they get a field goal, okay? They had a couple of nice things work for them. They get the field goal. They're up 3-0. And what do the Browns do? They come all the way back downfield, 4th and 1, deep in Bears territory. Khalil Mack with a sack. That was nice to see. The Bears with 5 sacks in the game. 2 of them from Mack, 1.5 for Quinn, 1 from Mario Edwards. See, Mario Edwards, if you just would stay off the stuff, you could play 16 games. But he did not play because he was suspended for substance abuse. So he missed the first 2 games. He comes in, gets a sack. The Bears can use those guys on the defensive line. Blackson had the other half. So 5 sacks for the Chicago Bears. But my guy, Eddie Jackson, again, unable to realize that those 2 things, I'm holding mine up right now, the 2 things at the end of your shoulders are arms. You're supposed to wrap up. And when Kareem Hunt went 29 yards for a touchdown, the game was put away anyway, but he went 29 yards for a touchdown, and Eddie Jackson just kind of throws his body at him. That's ridiculous. I was just shopping at Aldi, and people threw their body at me more than Eddie Jackson. I could have been knocked down at Aldi, okay? Had to buy some of the German stuff for the holidays. The holidays. Yeah, that's what Oktoberfest is for me. It's a damn holiday. Yeah. Someone's got to teach him, Angelo. Someone's got to teach Eddie Jackson to tackle. And he's the guy earlier in the season. The flagship station, WBBM, had a piece of Eddie Jackson talking to the other players and says, listen, anybody can tackle. You need to take the ball away. Eddie, you should go back and listen to that. Go back and watch the film. I would love to be in the film room with Eddie Jackson sitting in a stool, sitting on a chair, saying, Eddie, how is that tackle? Eddie Jackson is one of the most brutal defensive players I've seen. It's brutal. Shelley out there trying to do his job. Kendall Vildor, they were taking advantage of him early with Odell Beckham Jr. back. Jalen Johnson's a very, very good corner. He's going to get to the point where people are going to go the other side. So Kendall Vildor better play well. Otherwise, he will get they'll be going at him all season long because Jalen Johnson has showed just in 3 games the kind of cornerback he's going to be in the National Football League. He's a very, very good cornerback. It's really nice to see. But anyway, let's get back to the main story, okay? Justin Fields making his first NFL start. His stats, 6 for 20, 68 yards. Now, in statistical categories, he had 68 yards passing, but every time you get sacked, they take those yards away from the passing yardage. So he passed for 68 yards. He was sacked 9 times for 67 yards, which means the Bears passing, they passed for all of 1 yard in the game against the Cleveland Browns. They didn't rush for a whole heck of a lot more, 46 yards. The Bears had 47 combined yards of offense. And Justin Tucker kicked a 66-yard field goal to win a game the other day. Heck, last night, that damn Mason Crosby and Aaron Rodgers. You see, I have my guy Joe Montana behind me. So last night we had to watch, that, or I had to watch that. But 47 yards of field goals, or 47 yards of offense. I got field goals on my mind. 47 yards of offense for the Chicago Bears. Absolutely brutal. And when you look at what they did and what Matt Nagy did, and Dan Orlovsky today, if you're a Bears fan, you've probably heard the Dan Orlovsky rant already about Matt Nagy. He went on and on and on, said Nagy should be fired. And the first thing I said this morning, I went out to Twitter and Facebook. Listen, Bears fans, football fans, they are not going to fire the head coach or the general manager during the season. Yes, they both deserve it, but they both deserve to be launched before the season. When management from the Chicago Bears decided to give them this season, and maybe more because they had confidence in them, they're not going to get rid of them 3 games in. If they did, I'll come back on and say, I made a mistake. I was wrong. I never thought the Bears would do that. The Bears have never fired a coach during the season, and I don't see them stopping now. I think they'll be there all year long. They play the Detroit Lions this week. The Lions have been a tough luck loser in several games, including yesterday with the Justin Tucker field goal as time expired. So anyway, Justin Fields goes out there. His stats again, 6 for 20, 68 yards. He was sacked 9 times. He had a quarterback passer rating of 41.3. The Bears had 6 first downs, 1 for 11 on 3rd down, 0 for 1 on fourth down. If you watch the games, and I know Bears fans watch the game, Bear fans are very, very intelligent. A lot of Bears fans played football. A lot of Bears fans coach football. And Dan Orlovsky mentioned today, the Bears and Matt Nagy had 149 days since Justin Fields was drafted to build a game plan around Justin Fields. If that's the game plan, then Matt Nagy should never coach again after this year's over. He should never be an offensive coordinator anywhere. If he, in 149 days, that's all he could do. He was absolutely brutal. He didn't give Justin Fields anything to possibly help him. He did not have tight ends on the side. He did not go with Max Protect. I think he did go with Max Protect. Let me see here. Okay. Out of the 30 dropbacks, 2 times Max Protect, meaning you've got tight ends on the sides helping the tackles. And Lord knows Jason Peters and Jermaine Ifedi need help. Jermaine Ifedi needs help, not false starting. 3rd and 1 the Bears have when they're actually trying to move the ball. And Jermaine Ifedi gets a false start, turns to 3rd and 6. Bears don't. The Bears then get, I want to say, one of the many sacks of the game. So, yeah, 30 dropbacks, 4 using pre-snap motion. Now, before the show started, I was talking to Fat Mike, my guy, the guy that runs the 1252 Sports Network here. And I was listening to the Niners game last night, and I heard the broadcasters, Collinsworth and Al Michaels, say that when Kyle Shanahan was an assistant coming up, he may have been coming up with Tampa or somebody else. I can't remember who it was he was coming up with. But he sat in on the defensive meetings, and the defensive meetings, they were saying that every time a guy goes in motion, it moves 4 or 5 guys on the defensive side. Kyle Shanahan immediately said, well, then on offense, they should always have guys in motion. If we're moving 4 or 5 defensive guys and moving them out of their set positions. So when Kyle Shanahan coaches the 49ers, you always see guys in motion. You see guys everywhere in motion. So what did Matt Nagy do yesterday? The 30 dropbacks, okay? 4 times he used pre-snap motion. 4. Ridiculous. 2 times Max Protect. 2 times design rollouts. We've been begging for Matt Nagy to use rollouts when Mitch Trubisky was here. And now he's got a quarterback that can roll out. He can throw on the run, and he's not calling for rollouts. 2 design quarterback runs. Isn't that nice? Out of the 30. You have a quarterback that can actually run with the ball. And if he wants to take Justin Fields and make him a pocket quarterback, that's another reason you're not going to succeed calling these plays. Now, Matt Nagy's got a lot to live up to coming up this week. We will see what happens. I know I've seen people misunderstand what Nagy said. Maybe it is what he meant, but he said everything's open for this week because Fields apparently had a hand that was MRI'd after the game or x-rayed after the game. He said the hand is fine. Dalton's got the leg. So he said anybody could play quarterback this week. Please. Could you imagine if Nick Foles was back there yesterday? The one thing, and I asked my guy, Jeff Dickerson, who joined me last night on the postgame show on ESPN 1000, because I didn't want to be the only guy that said this. But there were many, many times, several times, when Justin Fields held on to the ball too long. He could have got rid of the ball sooner. May not have been sacked 9 times. But this was his first game starting in the National Football League. He needs to learn about how to get rid of the ball sooner, how to react quicker, how to find what needs to be done. Matt Bowen is a guy that you've heard him on the radio. You've heard him on the Score. You've heard him on ESPN. He's also on the ESPN matchup show, Saturdays and Sundays on TV. It's a great, great show. They also have, Sal Palantonio hosts the show, and it's great. Matt Bowen watched the film. He said there's protection issues against the Cleveland front. You think? He also said he expected more designed concepts for Fields, a.k.a. schemed play action, quarterback QBRs. You get the quarterback in some RPOs and also some max protects. He didn't see hardly any of that. We talked about it. The max protect just twice. But he did say the rookie quarterback showed some inexperience. He's got to see it faster and also react to it quicker and find the open holes that they have in NFL defenses. So I was really happy to see that. Now, Matt Nagy is not a good coach. Matt Nagy, I'm sorry, take that back. The players seem to play very, very hard for Matt Nagy, but he is not an offensive play caller. He cannot call plays on the offensive side. He's absolutely brutal. He's been brutal since he got here. Last year, they gave up the play calling for the last 5-6 games. And you know what they did then? They handed the ball out to David Montgomery. Montgomery didn't get a whole lot of carries yesterday. He had 10 carries for 34 yards. But when you realize the time of possession yesterday was 2-1, the Browns had the ball for almost 40 minutes compared to just over 20 for the Chicago Bears. So the Bears did not have the ball all that often. It was a very, very disgusting game to watch, a very, very hard, difficult game to watch. And Detroit is not that kind of team that's going to be able to come into Soldier Field and dominate the way the Cleveland Browns did. Now, nobody expected the Cleveland Browns to, no one expected the Bears to go into Cleveland, hostile environment, rookie quarterback, and win the game. I can't imagine anybody expected the Bears to win the game yesterday. The Bears didn't win the game. Nobody expected the Bears likely to lose by 20, get sacked 9 times, and have 47 yards on offense. And that's why it was so brutal. For years, we've been listening to, on the radio, been listening to fans call up and say, nothing good's going to happen till the McCaskies sell the team. The McCaskies are never going to sell the team. Why would they sell a team that before the season, they get a check for all of the TV money? They're never going to sell this team. It's always going to be the Chicago Bears owned by a McCaskey. Why would they sell it? That's why when the whole thing came up with moving to Arlington Heights and Arlington Park, which, moment of silence, Arlington Park ran its last thoroughbred race yesterday. And now we're waiting to see who wins the bid. But I thought, why would the Chicago Bears spend their hard-earned money, but basically it was not hard-earned. George Halas, his daughter, Virginia McCaskey, married a McCaskey, and the McCaskies just keep getting it. More McCaskies, more money, more people. And why would they spend their money to build a stadium? I know you get sponsorships, you get a lot of other things, but it appears that, in fact, that could be what's happening. And hopefully we'll hear in the next couple of weeks. We were supposed to hear in July who won the bid for the stadium or for that facility at Arlington Park. And I know you see on TV, we saw how nice SoFi Stadium looked when the Bears opened up the season on that Sunday night. If you watch the Las Vegas game, cool, very, very neat. Stadium in Vegas, very, very nice. The Bears get a chance to go there, which is not going to be fun. The Raiders are fun. How are the Bears going to slow down Derek Carr? Because the Raiders can score points. Now, I had a -3.5, and they were winning, and they gave up a damn touchdown late to make it a tie and then going into overtime. That cost me. I would have liked a little stop here and there. Stop a Jacoby Brissett. It shouldn't be that difficult, right? So anyway, no help from the tackles, no chipping, no tight ends on either side. I thought the second week in a row, I really liked the color commentator on the TV of the Bears game. 2 weeks ago, I thought Mark Sanchez was pretty good. He did get a little lingo heavy, talking about things the way that they refer to them on the, with the team. Yesterday, Greg Olsen was calling for a lot of things that may or may not have been good scheme-wise, like going forward on fourth down and things like that. But I thought him breaking it down, saying, listen, you're not chipping. Put a tight end on that side. Do something. They didn't do it. And it reminds me, speaking of a tight end, every game, I agree, Tim, my brother, he should give a play calling. That probably won't happen. If it does happen, it won't happen for a while. But they mentioned that every game Greg Olsen has called this year, 3 games, a tight end has scored. And Austin Hooper scored on a touchdown yesterday from Baker Mayfield. And if you watch that play, Roquan Smith has him coming out, and then he passes him off to the safety, who's supposed to be there, I would think, and that's Eddie Jackson, who's late getting there. The touchdown pass is caught. After the game, a real pro move. Roquan Smith talked to the media. They asked him about that play, and he said, you know what? I don't know. I know we've got to stop the guy from scoring a touchdown. He goes, that's on me. I'll take the blame. That was big for Roquan Smith, because I don't think it was his fault. I think it was Eddie Jackson's. And even if it wasn't, let's pile in Eddie Jackson because he's done nothing. They have him listed as having 6 tackles yesterday. I'm going to go back and watch. He must have been in the vicinity, and somebody was nice and gave him a tackle. Roquan Smith led the team with 9 tackles. Deion Bush, Eddie Jackson, Bilal Nichols, and Shelley, all with 6 tackles apiece. So defensively, they played well. They played a lot of that bend but don't break. And that's not the kind of defense you want as a Chicago Bear fan, is it? Don't you want the kind of defense that's going to take the ball away, stop them, 3 and outs and things like that? You don't really get that from this defense. Now, Sean Desai, the defensive coordinator, obviously better than what we saw against the Rams. And then you saw what Cincinnati did. They were able to score Cincinnati 2 touchdowns in a minute in the last 4 minutes of that game last week. But this week, you've got to be able to stop a running game. And we knew going into the contest, it was going to be difficult stopping a Nick Chubb and a Kareem Hunt. And then Odell Beckham Jr. comes back. It was a tough game. You knew going in, it was going to be a tough game. And points would be nice. Everybody in the NFL scoring points up and down the list. You got guys scoring all over the place, except the Bears, 6 points. Thank goodness for Cairo Santos, right? Cairo Santos, you put him in, he's automatic. And that's nice to see. That's the one thing the Bears have right now they don't have to worry about. The defensive line, if I hear one more person say, well, you know, Eddie Goldman, he'll be in there. Listen, Eddie Goldman decided last year to not play because of COVID. That's fine. Okay. A lot of other guys played, his teammates played. He didn't want to play. That's fine. I'm not going to complain with that. Then he comes back, he's hurt. Now there's 3 games in, he can't play. If I keep saying, well, you know what, Eddie Goldman gets in there, who knows? Eddie who? We haven't even seen him. We haven't seen him for a year. Well, let's see, 16. We haven't seen him for 19 games, Eddie Goldman. I thought Mario Edwards did well. Bilal Nichols did well. Tonga, the guy they drafted, yeah, he got called for roughing the quarterback, which is a real tough play because he gets in, he lands all of his weight on Baker Mayfield. That's a really tough play to call. The biggest play the Bears had yesterday was the pass interference. They got 47 yards on the pass interference call, which was, could have went either way. So anyway, Dan Orlovsky just ripped Matt Nagy. Matt Bowen broke it down for you. But I'm eager to see what it looks like this coming week. Another stat I want to throw your way. The Bears average just 1.1 yards per play. That's the second fewest by any team this century. That's not good. That would be 21 years, right? I wonder how far back that number goes, because the Bears were so bad offensively. It was a very, very difficult game to watch. We can only hope that they give the ball to Montgomery. Now, the receivers weren't open. Now, I don't know if the receivers weren't open because Justin Fields was late getting the ball to them, or they just can't get any separation. The receivers for the game, Allen Robinson, 2 for 27. He was targeted 6 times, had 2 catches. Montgomery targeted 4 times. He was 2 for 21. Cole Kmet, the tight end you drafted, 2nd round. You target him 4 times. He had 1 catch for 11 yards. That's when it was 3rd and 21, and he got 11 yards, so you still had to kick. Mooney, 1 catch, 9 yards, 4 targets. Jimmy Graham, one of the top 3 paid guys on the offensive side for the Chicago Bears. One of the top 3. 1 target. He played 7 plays. And if you remember what Matt Nagy said a week ago, they asked him about the tight ends. He said, yeah, we got to target them more often. Well, what better way to do it than target the tight ends with a rookie quarterback? How many screen passes did the Cleveland Browns throw? The Bears tried. I think they had 1 that worked. The Bears have never been good at screen passes, but they showed so easily how a guy blocks, goes out. You let the oncoming rusher in, loft the ball over, and Fields missed a couple guys like that. Hopefully he watches film. They hit some of those guys. It's a learning process. We didn't think it would be a learning process with Matt Nagy, but it is. And he needs to learn, if not as much, then more than Justin Fields going into this game with Detroit. A couple of really good games this past weekend. Okay. And among them was the Chiefs and the Charger game. It's really nice. I have DirecTV. I've had DirecTV since 1996. And that's when they announced that they were going to have the Sunday ticket. It's in 96. So I've had that for what? 25 years. And they used to have it on DirecTV. You could just go to a channel during the week and watch the replay of the game, but not the replay, the cut down version. Now they call it shortcuts, and they do it online on the app, on the Sunday ticket app. But you can only do it Monday and Tuesday. If you try to do it Wednesday or Thursday, you can't find it. So I went and watched every snap of that Chiefs-Chargers game because I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was getting ready for post-game and everything else. And it's always nice to see Patrick Mahomes not win. And Patrick Mahomes make some mistakes. And the Chiefs turned the ball over 4 times yesterday. And I love watching Herbert and that Chargers offense. And it was fun to watch. Mike Williams, Allen, you've got Eckler. It's nice to watch these guys. And it was nice to see them win. It was a fun game to watch. The game yesterday afternoon, the Rams and the Patriots. I'm sorry, the Rams and the Bucks. And Matthew Stafford, boy, he must just be smiling from ear to ear because he's got receivers. He's got offensive weapons. He just drops back and throws to Deshaun Jackson, 34-year-old Deshaun Jackson, getting wide open. Apparently, he'd missed him once or twice in the game, but found him for 75 yards. And Stafford had a really nice game. Again, it's always nice when Tom Brady loses too, isn't it? I would think. So that was cool. And then last night, again, Joe Montana behind me. I got all kinds of pictures right here. This is Joe Montana scoring a touchdown. Let me see. He's scoring a touchdown with the Kansas City Chiefs against the Niners, but it was a nice picture, so I got it. And so I'm watching the game yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look great, and the Niners struggled, but then they scored quick. And that's why you don't need to be throwing the ball all the time when you get down a little bit. The Niners were down. They scored 2 quick touchdowns, make a game of it, and then eventually take the lead. And everyone says, well, you gave Aaron Rodgers too much time. And I was watching on Twitter, and a lot of people said, you know what? You got to score when you score. You had 37 seconds, and the Packers and Aaron Rodgers had no timeouts. I don't like the Packers. My friend Jerry Klein would say I'm a closet Packer fan because he and I had season tickets to the 3 games they used to play at County Stadium back in the day, because it was nothing more fun than driving up to County Stadium, barbecuing, having a few beers, going in and watching a game. I saw the Bears play there. I saw the Niners play there. It was fun. Not a closet Packer fan. But Devontae Adams, who got his bell rung and still was ready in the last 37 seconds to make 2 catches down the middle of the field. What was the Niner defense doing? Now, granted, the Niner defense got hurt. They got banged up. They were down a couple of cornerbacks. They just bring in Josh Norman, and he's out with bruised lungs. That sounds bad. So the Niner defense really screwed that up, and they had the opportunity. But when you have Kittle, see, the Niners for the second year in a row. Last year, I think they had 21 guys go on injured reserve. In the first week this year, they lost their running back, Raheem Mostert, and they also lost Greenlaw, their linebacker, who intercepted a ball and went for a pick 6. And they also lost Verrett, one of their corners. So they're trying to hang in there. And with Kyle Shanahan's play calling, it's always fun to watch. But talk about a division. The NFC West with the Rams, the Niners, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks is going to be fun each and every week, every time any of those teams play each other. Might not be fun for the Seahawks. They're off to a struggling start, and they lost to the Vikings yesterday. So we'll see how those things go. I got some other stuff I want to get into with baseball. And again, I could have sat here and screamed and yelled and said, I want to see Matt Nagy fired. But it's pointless because it's not going to happen. I have better things to do with my time. I don't need to waste my energy complaining and yelling that Matt Nagy should be fired. Again, I said, if it happens, that'd be wonderful. But if he does happen, it's not going to help this team this year. You're going to have to wait another year. So ride it out. Look for something to happen in the offseason, because if it's this bad all year long, there's no doubt that not only one, but two of them should be gone. Okay, baseball. Some real quick baseball stuff because I'm a Sox fan. Everybody knows I'm a Sox fan. I had the Sox over there when I was doing my show from here. I decided to move it around a little bit. So the Chicago White Sox are American League Central Division champions. The White Sox over the last 2.5 weeks have lost 2 out of 3 to Kansas City, Oakland, the Angels, and the Detroit Tigers. They beat the Tigers today. They were winning 8-2, and then Tony La Russa decides to have Mike Wright come in to pitch. He loads the bases. Next thing you know, it's 8-7. They have to go to their bullpen ace, Liam Hendricks, in the 9th inning, and he gets him out, and the Sox hang on for an 8-7 win. Now they come home. The White Sox have 5 games remaining. 2 against, let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think they have 5. So anyway, play Tuesday. They play against Cincinnati for 2 and then Detroit for 3. And you look at it, they are only 2.5 games behind the Houston Astros for home field advantage. We have known forever that the Bears, we have known forever that the White Sox, see what that's what happens, you go and cross sports. We've known forever that the White Sox are going to get to the postseason, win the Central, and play the Astros. But they've had a chance to win some games here down the stretch the last 2.5 weeks while the Astros were losing and overtake the Astros so the White Sox would have home field advantage. Why would the White Sox want home field advantage? Well, because they have the best home field record in the American League. The White Sox are 49-27. That's a .644 win percentage. That's better than the other teams in the American League. They are still 2.5 behind the Astros after today's game. The White Sox are 89-68. The Astros are 91-65. The Astros have 3 games coming up with the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays are locked in. Best team in the American League. There's really no reason for them to play hard. We hope they do. Then the Astros get the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's are out of a playoff race. These are important games this week. Final week of the season. If the White Sox could get home field, that would be nice. Opening up the playoffs in the American League, there's a wild card game. Let's see. American League wild card game on Tuesday, the 5th. On Wednesday, the 6th, there's a National League wild card game. And right there on the 7th and 8th, the American League playoffs begin. So the White Sox will play the Astros on Thursday and Friday. We would like to have it here at Guaranteed Rate Field because that would give the White Sox a big advantage. The White Sox are going to have blackout games. They want everybody to wear black when they come to the ball game. The full house at Guaranteed Rate. So that'll be fun. But this week is very important. So keep an eye on it. If the White Sox are blowing games, keep an eye on why they're blowing games. And really quickly, I know I got this. I got to make sure I bring it up because I've been talking and harping on this for weeks. And Tony La Russa mentioned it this week, which was nice to see. The White Sox had a game the other day against Cleveland. They had a 5-game series against Cleveland. I know my guy, Fat Mike, and Paul from Nick and Ivy, they were in Cleveland, checked out all the hot spots in Cleveland and Canton, and it's a lot of fun going to the Hall of Fames and things like that. But the White Sox the other day on Saturday night, a 6-0 loss to the Indians at Progressive Field. The White Sox got a few hits, I want to say 4 or 5. The very first play of the game in the bottom of the first, Miles Straw hits a ground ball to Tim Anderson. It goes off Tim Anderson's glove. And he's walking out to left field to get the ball, and Miles Straw just rounds first and goes to second. What the hell are you doing? Eli Jimenez was slow coming in. That wasn't very good. Later in the inning, third baseman, I think it was the same inning, Yohan Moncada, flat-footed throwing error, relatively routine ground ball to third base. Yeah. Anderson and second baseman Cesar Hernandez double clutched on infield singles that set the tone for a 3-run 6th inning. Tony La Russa says afterwards, we were back on our heels. The other team beat us to the punch offensively and defensively. That's not how we play. What the hell? As a fan of the White Sox, I was disgusted watching that. Absolutely disgusted. I couldn't get to Twitter fast enough. So anyway, La Russa goes on to say, so this is no time to relax. Sox had scored 4 runs in 3 games since belting 4 homers and clinching the division with game one of the doubleheader Thursday. He said, hit the ball in the strike zone. Don't chase. We can't strike out like we've been striking out. Have better at bats. The important thing is to compete as hard as you can. Can't lose that edge. Can't back off and get soft and try to turn it on a week from now. You got to compete. When Tony La Russa said, hit the ball in the strike zone and don't chase, we can't strike out like we've been striking out. That's why I'm concerned with the baseball playoffs coming up. I can see the White Sox getting in. I can see the White Sox getting good pitching, and I can see the White Sox not hitting for crap in the postseason. I hope I'm wrong. When the season started, the first half of the season, the White Sox were near the bottom of the league in home runs, but they were near the top of the league in winning percentage. They were winning games by grinding them out, getting the little things done. Then they started hitting home runs. Their averages dipped, but they were hitting home runs and winning games. You've got to play well. Especially you get to the postseason, you're facing good pitching every day. I don't want to hear that we're facing good pitchers and that's why they couldn't hit. That's what you're going to get in the postseason. That's why you bust your ass for 162 games, or at least are supposed to, for 162 games to get into the postseason. And you're going to face the best pitchers in baseball. We're hoping the White Sox win the American League and go and play in the National League. Who do you think you're going to face there? Scherzer, Buehler. So come on. This team's got to stop striking out. They've got to see. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I'm so frustrated. And that's damn aggravating. And because of that, I'm going to take a sip. I'm not drinking one of my own beers. I had a couple of those the other day. This is a Miskatonic Hefeweizen, but my guy, Paul, he's also got a beer, a Kolsch beer, which is a very, very light German beer called Da Kolsch. So check that out. And while I take a sip, you can check out more from Nick and Ivy.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
And you cannot go wrong going to Nick and Ivy. I know they're working on getting some more of the Fat Mike Lager coming up soon. You got that Kolsch, you got the Hubner, you got Locktoberfest 1853. That's my girlfriend Linda's favorite. So check it out whenever you get a chance. Get on over to Nick and Ivy. So with I keep saying the holiday, but if you're German, Oktoberfest kind of is a holiday, right? So with Oktoberfest coming up, a lot of the breweries have a lot of busy times. Now, some of the breweries already had their Oktoberfest celebrations last week and the week before. Now, that's not wrong, because Oktoberfest in Germany goes from the middle of September to the first week of October. So hopefully next year at this time, I will be in Germany for Oktoberfest. But anyway, some are having their Oktoberfest coming up. Milk Money, we had Eric Pizer on a couple of weeks ago from Milk Money. They were having an Oktoberfest beer dinner coming up this Thursday. I know it's late, it's Monday, but contact them over at Milk Money. Go online, go to milkmoney.com, whatever you need to find, and contact them, because I saw the menu. It's a great menu done by the guys, by the chef, one of the owners. There's the chef. He makes all the food, and Eric Pizer makes all the beer. So Milk Money's got an Oktoberfest beer dinner coming up this Thursday. If you got this Thursday available, head on out to Milk Money in downtown LaGrange. It should be a really good time. Friday, I'm heading out because my guys, Carmen and Yurko, are actually going to be at 93 Octane Brewing. That's in St. Charles from 1:30 to 3:30. It's the grand opening patio party for 93 Octane beer. The guys from ESPN 1000 are going to be there, Carmen and Yurko. I'm going to pop over. I have not been to 93 Octane Brewing yet. My problem is there's a bunch of breweries in St. Charles. It's going to be hard to go and just go to one, but that's what I'm planning on doing. And then I'll get back out to St. Charles and Geneva for a few of the other breweries, because there's so many great breweries out there. And hopefully when we get a chance to talk to some of them, I'll sit down and talk with the people from 93 Octane. Hopefully we get them on the show in a few weeks, and some of the others. Alter Brewing's got a great place out that way. Geneva's got a bunch of great beer. The art history also. So we'll talk, and we'll get a lot of people coming up in months to come. This coming weekend, Saturday, Pollyanna's 7th anniversary. Pollyanna makes some great, awesome beer. They're located in Lamont. They also have a place up in Roselle, but the Pollyanna is in Lamont celebrating their 7th anniversary. That's this coming Saturday, October 2nd. They have a triple beer release. Their 7th anniversary lager is a Dortmund lager. That's a German Dortmund lager. They have a hazy IPA coming out, and also a bourbon barrel aged personal charm letter. That's their beer. That's their stout. It's made with coffee and vanilla. I'm not a coffee guy. It's funny. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. I've had many beers that have coffee in them, but it doesn't give me that same bitter taste that coffee does. And I've told the story before, but in case you missed it, the reason I don't drink coffee, and nobody in my family, none of my brothers or sisters, there's 5 of us, drink coffee. When we were younger, my mom would yell at us. She was a coffee drinker with cream and sugar. She'd yell at us. We'd say, "Ma, please, just don't stop yelling at us. We'll stop, whatever. Just don't yell at us. You got that awful coffee breath." And that would just make her madder. But none of us in my family drink coffee. My brother might drink a Frappuccino or something like that in a big cup. My brother Barry from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or something like that. But otherwise, no coffee drinkers. But Pollyanna, a triple beer release this Saturday. So head on over there. We're not done yet. There's more. Noon Whistle in Lombard. They have their Oktoberfest celebration October 2nd, Saturday, October 2nd. I was there for their Oktoberfest celebration. It had to be 3 years ago. Just a great time. They had bands. They had the sausages going. They had the great beer and everything. So check them out. They're over in Lombard on Roosevelt Road. A wonderful, wonderful place. And I have not been to the one in Naperville yet, which blows my mind because I'm in Naperville 6 times a week, and I have not been there yet. And that's bad. Tell Brent over at the Naperville location, tell him that I'm a jerk, and he won't give you anything free, but he'll probably agree with you. He likes me. Goldfinger Brewing, my guy Tom over at Goldfinger Brewing, he is having his 2nd Oktoberfest celebration this coming Saturday. They announced today they're going to have a mini bags tournament, not mini bags, but the tournament's going to be a smaller tournament. So that's coming up at Goldfinger, and I'm going to stop there on Saturday. I work 9 to 11, and I think the Oktoberfest celebration starts at noon at Goldfinger, so I'm planning on being there and getting one of the first beers at noon, or at least close to it, because they make awesome beers, awesome lagers, awesome pilsners. I know that their Oktoberfest is good, and they also have a beer coming up after Oktoberfest, which is they're working on. It's going to be a really good one. And I've had this the last couple of years. My good buddy Larry Griffin and his daughter Christy have bought me the German beer advent calendar that they've gotten from Costco. And if you've had a chance to see it, it's amazing. It's 24 beers, 1 beer for every day of the month leading up to Christmas, just like an advent calendar when you were growing up, with chocolates or whatever the heck it is. The White Sox have an advent calendar with little plastic toys and things like that for the kids to buy for the kids. But forget the kids. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that, really. I have a couple of grandkids now. I've inherited. But anyway, the advent calendars for beer are awesome. Last year, I bought one from the beer cellar, and it had a lot of beers from the Chicago area, a lot of beers from the area. Now I mentioned one the other day. One of the other breweries had one, but now the 2021 Illinois Craft Beer Advent Calendar is coming out. It's available now. Lodi Tap House put it together. Okay. So if you want to get more information about it, and you don't have to go to the Lodi Tap House to pick it up, there are 20 breweries in the Chicagoland area that are providing beers for this. So you can pick it up at any of these places. Go to LodiTapHouse.com and check it out. Now, it's difficult if you get more than one advent calendar a beer advent calendar for the advent season because the last 2 years I've had more than one. And I like beer, but sometimes it's difficult drinking 2 beers a day. And if you miss a day, then you got 4 beers the next day. And I've done that a few times. Those are days I just sit inside and watch TV and just keep drinking. So I'm not telling my buddy Larry not to get me another advent calendar, beer advent calendar from Costco. If he does, I would enjoy it. If he doesn't, that's okay, because I'm pretty sure I'll get one somewhere else. They're always around $89, $90, $99. Very, very good value. And the ones from the Illinois Craft Beer Advent Calendar and the ones that Beer Cellar put together last year and others, they're really cool because all the beers are from the area. Everybody gets some, and everyone's the same. So if you know other people that have the same Advent calendar, you're all getting the same beer. So that's very, very, very cool. Every once in a while, I have something that's up Fred's can, and I think I have something that I saw today. So we'll do that when we come right back.
Well, maybe it's just because you're ugly.
Ugly? You gotta be kidding me.
Time for What's Up Fred's Can on 1252 Sports Chicago.
For years and years, when I worked at Sports Phone and when I worked at The Score, I would be one of those guys who would go to events, go to media days, go to whatever with a recorder and had to gather sound from players. The Chicago Bulls had their media day today, and the Chicago Bulls should be a fun team to watch this year. They've made a lot of changes. Arturas Karnisovich, they've gone out and got players, and they should be a better and more fun team to watch this year. But the Brooklyn Nets had their media day today. And David Letterman was in the crowd for the media day asking questions. Now, the rest of America might think it's funny, but if you're there working, you want to get your job done, you want to get the stuff finished and get out of there. And I'm not sure if David Letterman asked him this question, but somebody asked Kevin Durant, why do they call you KD? And he said, well, my first name is Kevin and my second name is Durant. So the initials are KD. Now, everybody will talk about it and you'll see it on the news and they'll probably play it on some things and SportsCenter probably ran it and everything else. And it's funny for everybody except the people that are there working and covering it. And there's another thing that has bothered me, and that's why it's up my can. And that's when a person comes to the media table with their kid. Because now I'm not the grouchy old guy right now, but everybody else is there to get a job done. The media is there to get a job done. And I saw Javi Baez this year, had his kid sitting on his lap. And you had it last year, I think, for some of the NBA tournaments and the NBA finals and things like that, with Steph Curry having his little daughter sitting on his lap. And they all think that's cute. It's not cute for people working. Get the job done, ask the questions, stop playing with your kid, pay some attention, and everything will be fine. That would be nice. This is a good question from Pig Dog Video. Why was Chicago not even considered as a host city for the World Cup? I think it might be because Soldier Field is too small for the venue. And I think that they decided not to put their name in. And the city of Chicago decided they didn't want to host, which is beyond stupid. Okay. They hosted in the past. They hosted the very first game of the World Cup years ago. And it blows my mind. For those who don't know, and I'm sure there's many out there who don't know because you're not soccer fans, the 2026 World Cup is going to be in Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. They figured they would get it if all three of them put in. So Canada will get a lot of early round games, and Mexico will get some, and the U.S. will get a bunch of later games and things like that. But I've not talked a lot of soccer this year because the Chicago Fire suck. And I have season tickets. I've missed the last several games. They play on Wednesday at SeatGeek Stadium because they decided they wanted to play their games at Soldier Field because people didn't want to drive on out to Bridgeview. and watch the games at 71st and Harlem because it took them so long to get there. Oh my, what a shame. So they play on a field yesterday. They had a scoreless tie, if I want to be soccer correct, against Nashville. And you could see the field had all the football lines on it because the day before was Notre Dame against Wisconsin at Soldier Field. And people, the soccer purists, are saying, well, this sucks. Look at all the soccer lines or the football lines. Yes, that's what you get when a team decides to play their games at Soldier Field. It seats 63,000. The Chicago Fire had 15,000. That was their biggest crowd of the season. They may get a bigger crowd in October. They have two home games left. And I'm going to try and go to the last one in October if they don't hold me out now that I'm ripping them. But I've already bought the tickets. This was money I put down 2 years ago. And because of COVID last year, there was no games. But they're fun. I took my girlfriend, Linda, and basically it's punishment, it seems like, to take her to a soccer game. And we're leaving after the last one. She goes, it's so much more fun when they win. It's even more fun when they score a goal, which doesn't happen all that often. So anyway, thanks for the question. I just think the city of Chicago decided they didn't want to host the World Cup. Yeah, that's brilliant. That wasn't this mayor. It was the previous mayor that decided that, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm mistaken, that's okay. Criticize him anyway. He did a crap job, just like the one in there now is doing. So anyway, I'm going to finish my beer, watch this football game. I've got the Cowboys minus 3.5 and Dak to throw over 300. We'll see. See what happens. I know it's a close game right now. Next week, we'll be talking White Sox playoffs. We'll be talking about the Chicago Bears as they will hopefully have beaten the Detroit Lions somehow. And we'll talk about what Justin Fields or Andy Dalton or Nick Foles did at quarterback and how Matt Nagy did calling the plays. Have a great Monday. Have a great week. Don't forget all the other shows. The Fat Mike Sports Show Wednesday. We got a lot of football stuff coming up. The Schuster Express on Sunday night had a great show with Kenny McReynolds on Sunday night. So check them all out. You can go to YouTube, go to twitch.tv. Just check out the 1252 Chicago Sports, 1252 Sports Chicago, and you can catch all the shows. You can also drive around and listen to the shows. Go to Spotify. You can get all the shows the day after they're on here. So have a great night. Enjoy your beverages. We will talk to you next week right here on Huebs Views and Brews. Thanks for watching.